Hey y'all, welcome to the Movie House. You're just in time to hear me talk about... Because Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time, it's not incorrect to say that I'm more lenient with its sequels than I would with other franchises. I admit that. Each new installment brought its own baggage, and plenty of it, but usually one or two well-staged set pieces would appease my inner 7-year-old dino junkie. Cause I can squint past the bullshit if I get fun schlock like this, or this, or this. At this point, it's unrealistic to think that any of these Jurassic sequels could actually live up to the original film. It's a damned masterpiece. Its sequels are just dumb fun B-movies. And in that regards, I found the penultimate film to this series, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, to be a worthy follow-up that pushes the franchise towards something new and bold. Picking up 3 years after the fall of the Jurassic World theme park, Isla Nublar and its prehistoric inhabitants are free from human meddling. But then the island's source of geothermal power, the once dormant Mount Sibo, reawakens and is now primed to explode, which would bring about another extinction event for the dinosaurs. So now the question becomes, should we save these animals whose only crime was being foolishly brought back into this world? Or take this encroaching calamity as nature's way of course correction? That's when Claire Deering, former operations manager of Jurassic World and now head of the Dinosaur Protection Group, plans a rescue to move the animals to a new sanctuary funded by the man who helped John Hammond clone the very first dinosaurs. Along for the ride is your basic assortment of Bleeding Heart Red shirts and Owen Grady, Velociraptor Wrangler and fellow survivor of the last incident, returning to Nublar in hopes of saving Blue, the last of her species. But as usual, there's some shady assholes with shadier plans for the dinos, and Blue specifically. So now our heroes must stop these animals from being sold on the black market, auctioned off as weapons, test subjects, or just simple sport. While doing so, they gotta avoid getting eaten by Dr. Wu's latest ill-advised monstrous amalgam, the smaller, sleeker, and clearly twisted Indoraptor. So when compared to its direct predecessor, this is a step forward, step back affair. There's things about Fallen Kingdom I prefer over World and vice versa. I get that I'm one of the few online voices that genuinely likes the Jurassic World series. I like what I like. You don't have to agree with me. I find most, not all, of the complaints lobbed at this new series' feet to be stuff that can be explained away in-universe. Like, if you've read the books, you would know that Hammond chose this island because the volcano would provide geothermal power to the park. And if you haven't read the book, it's not like the second movie didn't establish that idea.
Hammond ran everything on geothermal power. It was never meant to need replenishing.
Another one I hear is, how could a 9mm round penetrate the gyrosphere after Jimmy Fallon assured us that it could stop a 50 cal round in the last movie? You mean these gyrospheres? This is a callback to the original book where spared no expense was just an empty slogan and corners were cut everywhere. It's all an illusion to make the tourists feel safe. Okay, I admit on first watch I thought an interspecies blood transfusion was ridiculous, but turns out that's actually a very real veterinary practice, just you can really only do it once safely. Lastly, and I know I'm going to lose a few of you here, but I've never really found the idea of using dinosaurs for military application to be the dumbest idea. It's just, I don't think these movies plead their case well. This series has established in its lore that raptors are the second smartest being ever to have walked the earth. And we do train and domesticate dogs for military and police use. So a leap for sure, but it also sounds like just the right kind of stupid that humanity could get possibly working, or it could just come back and bite them on the ass. You know, like it's almost a theme or something. But is it any more stupid than like a government weaponizing viruses and being shocked when they realize that they can't contain it after it's leaked? Anyway, where was I again? If you're complaining that the villain's master plan sounds silly, you are asking more out of fiction than what this clown world we call reality delivers. So bask in the fantasy, buy the ticket, and enjoy the ride. There's an appreciated increased focus on those old school animatronics, helping sell the tactileness and reality of the dinosaurs like in the old movies, resulting in stronger performances. Bryce Dallas Howard's Claire in particular continues the growth she experienced in the last movie. She used to take these amazing animals for granted, just seeing numbers on her spreadsheet. Now she sports a massive guilt complex, feeling she can make amends if she can save them. It feels like she's on a more equal footing to Chris Pratt's Owen this time around. Yes, he's still a former Navy SEAL badass who can fire any gun, drive any vehicle, dive off cliffs safely no matter the height, and has a goddamn velociraptor as a bestie, but he's also not as obnoxiously unflappable as he was the first go-round. A little nervous chuckle here and there goes a long way, and it suits Pratt's on-screen persona better. Point is, the script, co-written by Colin Trevorrow, stepping down from director duties this time, takes the effort to make them feel a little bit more like, human beings. There's also a little girl in this who isn't irritating, precocious, with a story twist that actually adds to the series' mythology. Who would have thought? Oh, and for those of you looking forward to his return, Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm is in this movie, but it's just a cameo. Don't get your hopes up. The rest of its cast is a solid collection of character actors just there to ham it up and play to type, and I'm okay with that. What really made me dig this particular flick also seems to be a chief sticking point for many. That it starts out as one movie and then morphs into a completely different movie at the halfway point. Yes, there's obvious issues that come with that. Pacing-wise, the film has longer first and third acts, with a truncated second act acting as the tonal bridge. But I think it ultimately works thanks to Spanish horror filmmaker J.A. Bayona's moody and atmospheric direction. Even its detractors have to admit, this is the best looking film in the series, leaning much harder into horror over the adventure aspect of previous installments, which is a nice change of pace. Universal Pictures is a film studio whose bedrock is horror cinema. It's a key part of their genetic makeup, so to speak. And from the very beginning, Fallen Kingdom teases this increased emphasis on horror, starting with its fantastic opening scene. Then the movie shifts to bombastic spectacle with a first act that is classic Jurassic disaster stuff, with a heavier than usual focus on destruction. But then the scope narrows and narrows to a much smaller, more personal climax, with callbacks to not only to previous films in the series, but to horror cinema in general, morphing into a straight-up gothic horror, complete with underground mad science labs, dark secluded mansions harboring darker secrets, and our heroes being chased through said spooky manor by a ravenous monster lurking in the shadows. All this would feel appropriate if it was like a vampire or a werewolf stalking them. There's always been an element of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in this series of men playing God and paying for it, so it all feels very appropriate to me. This new Indoraptor makes for a fun antagonist, really selling how broken and twisted this new trilogy's freakish hybrids are. Everything about him is off. His overdeveloped forearms forcing it to be a quadruped unlike most predators, he's missing scales, and he's constantly twitching. This is a damaged prototype, both physically and mentally, which is super creepy, but also it is in keeping with the warnings of the abuses of genetic power that this series has always been, running with. Now, while I've been defending this flick and I rank it as one of the better sequels, that comes with a few caveats. For one, the gap in quality between the first film and its sequels it's really wide. And two, there's always going to be this prevailing element of history repeating itself. Man's hubris thinking he can control nature ultimately becomes his downfall. It's a key theme of the whole series. With that, though, there's always that deja vu of people making the same mistakes, making you want to yell at the screen, "No, don't do that!" To be fair, this has been an issue pretty much since the beginning, but this flick is just as guilty of said stupid shit, with a couple moments that made me scratch my head and roll my eyes. Also, and I admit this is a completely shallow consumerist thing, but Fallen Kingdom was the first Jurassic Park movie in a long time that actually had a really good toy line tie-in. Because part of growing up with the Jurassic Park franchise, at my age, was those original Kenner toys. That is a legendary toy set. And trying to buy those toys, today is just, the prices on eBay are laughable and heart attack inducing. And we were in dire need of a good new set, since the previous two films' tie-in toys were just absolute garbage. Not only has there been well-sculpted dinosaurs and human figures that are correctly scaled to each other based on the new movies, but they've also been releasing legacy products, so dinosaurs and characters from previous films are getting, their due. And let's just say I have an absolute saint of a wife who's okay with me rebuilding my old collection and then some. Style aside, what elevates Fallen Kingdom above most of its brethren, ultimately, is that it had the balls to actually advance the series towards something new, a point of no return. How it does so is an absolutely heartbreaking callback to the original movie and the first time we ever saw a dinosaur. But with this risky story choice, the island and park were no more, allowing for an absolutely gonzo story as seen in both Jurassic World Dominion and the Chaos Theory cartoon, even if they underdeliver what was promised here. Because in the end, I think Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is flawed, like all the Jurassic sequels, but delivers solid blockbuster entertainment and is some solid celluloid. But that's enough for me. I'd like to hear what y'all thought. Like, comment, or subscribe if you feel so inclined. But more importantly, until next time, stay safe out there.